Welcome to Thumbnail Wars, a brand new series on my channel where I pit two YouTubers' thumbnails against each other and determine a winner. Of course, like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to my channel to see more of me. I decided to start this series because I want to educate you more about thumbnails and I also want to have fun doing it because thumbnails can be kind of boring sometimes. Let me know if there's any YouTubers that you want me to compare and look at when it comes to their thumbnails and see what kind of insight we can draw from them. We all know that thumbnails are important, but just how important are they? Well, in 2019, they actually did a study and they said that almost over 60% of the success of a video comes from a thumbnail. And it makes a lot of sense because it doesn't matter how good your video is. If your thumbnail is not good and enticing enough, then people will not be able to see how good that video is in the first place. That's why thumbnails itself is still a science. It is something that is continuing to be improved. And even for me and for many YouTubers out there, they're still continuing to find new ways to make good thumbnails to get good traction. All right, let's look at these two contestants' background first and their numbers before I break down each of their thumbnails. For our first contestant, we have Pewdiepie, who has over 1 million subscribers and has over 3 million views per month. He actually started around 10 years ago on YouTube and has been pretty prolific since then. For our second contestant, we have Mr. Beast, who started 8 years ago, has 37 million subscribers and almost 500 million video views for the last 30 days. So both of these YouTubers are huge heavy hitters in the industry and they cater to a similar demographic. As we keep in mind in terms of their size, kind of what they do, now we really know why thumbnails are so important, because if they're reaching these numbers, they need to make sure that their thumbnail strategy is 100% on point. Let's take a look at Pewdiepie first. Now, when we look at his thumbnails here, the thing that really pops out for me, whenever there are facial expressions in his thumbnails, we can see that they're very expressive. For him, it's like a little bit more nuanced. So his mouth isn't really big, he's not making a really exaggerated face, but the expression is still there. For example, this one talking about assumptions about me, we can kind of see when we look at his face, he looks kind of maybe like a little bit unsure, uneasy, which is kind of funny. The other one, this one, woman wants $1 million from her new husband or something. We can see his look. I would describe it as irate, maybe like a little bit puzzled or kind of disgusted even, depending on how the video is. Post-production Steven here, adding one more point. The reason why he may not need to be as expressive is due to the fact that his beard, his face, and even his headphones, his headgear in the thumbnail is already extremely recognizable and iconic, so therefore he does not need to be as exaggerated. The second thing we can see for his thumbnails is that we can see him and his face very clearly, on top of the fact that he has a very clear facial expression. Now, the way that he does that is he kind of has this border that traces out around him, and sometimes he uses the white border, which I kind of like using as well, and sometimes he uses the black border, just depending on what his content is. So we can see, for example, Jake Paul goes to prison, you can see that there's a trace out there. So what we know for sure is that when it comes to thumbnails, we really want to have a clear facial expression, and we also want to make sure that they are clearly there as well, them as a person. That's pretty important because you can see, like, sometimes, for example, here, if he did not make the slight edit of kind of boarding out himself for some of these videos, like this one here for Jake Paul, that as a result, he kind of seeps in. And what we really need to make sure we know is the fact that thumbnails appear on the YouTube homepage. They're competing with tons of other people. So these thumbnails are made in a sense where it's very clear that this is Pewdiepie when it comes to the thumbnails, using kind of the design and kind of the placement of the person. The last thing I want to mention, because we're going to talk about color when we compare both of them, is I would say that his color usage for himself and also for the background, we can see when there is a background, his color is pretty bright. although we can also see that overall he has more of a grounded approach when it comes to his thumbnails, meaning that we see him for who he is. We don't really see that there to be too much high contrast, which when we look at Mr. Beast later, it will be very apparent that that is the case. All right, let's take a look at Mr. Beast now. We have Mr. Beast who is at almost at 38 million. All right, when we look at his thumbnails, the first thing that we can see is that he also has a pretty expressive face. But the clear difference here is that for a lot of his thumbnails and the way that he is, if we look at these ones, we can see that he uses a similar facial expression. Whereas the one before, for Pewdiepie, he uses more like a variety of facial features. For this one here, we can see at least like a few of them, like he's smiling, his mouth is open. That is almost his most identifiable thumbnail trait. His mouth is always open. The other thing that we also see when it comes to Mr. Beast is, especially when you look at what we saw before, is his usage of color that really stands out for his content. Now, that's what I meant when Pewdiepie was more grounded, is because for him, he has a lot of high contrast style design when it comes to his thumbnails. His text is always extremely clear, and when it comes to the palette that he uses, everything is dialed up so that it really catches your eye. You can imagine when it comes to you seeing these thumbnails on the homepage, and you compare that to other people and other videos out there that appear on there from more traditional media, the contrast is definitely not as high. And as a result, that really has a good draw when it comes to the thumbnail. So as a result, we can see that both YouTubers, of course, given the size that they are, they do imply similar tactics, but there are some nuanced differences when it comes to how they express themselves, kind of the colors they use. It's also reflective of their personality a little bit as well, because when it comes to being more grounded for both of them, we can see like maybe the first contestant has a slightly more of that direction, like edging towards that direction. Let me know so far in the comments below what you think when it comes to their thumbnail style. Is it captivating to you? Does it make you want to click it? Have you heard of any of these people ever in your life? Because there are definitely people who have no idea who either of these people are, despite their size on YouTube. We're going to move on to the next part, which is comparing the two contestants and how their thumbnails are to each other. Keep in mind, this is just my own analysis, and the goal here is just to provide more insight when it comes to the success of these YouTubers and their thumbnail strategy, and just learn from them. We have both of their thumbnails side by side just one more time before we talk about each of the elements. And like I mentioned before, we can see the color usage becomes very apparent, where Mr. Beast tends to use a lot more brighter colors. Pewdiepie is more, he definitely has bright colors, but you can see in comparison, kind of like the usage of the text and the usage of the different elements there, that Mr. Beast likes to use brighter colors. When we look at the facial features, which I talked about before, is the most important thing for both of these YouTubers, we can also see a difference there, where for a lot of these ones, the focus for Mr. Beast has to do with more of the theme of the video itself, the topic of the video itself, whereas for Pewdiepie, we just see his face a lot more, and that is also reflective of their type of content. Pewdiepie, he used to do a lot of gaming videos, but he's kind of gravitated towards more of commentary style videos, just really letting his persona run wild and just talk about a lot of things. So that might be why there's a more focus on him. Whereas for Mr. Beast, he is known for his crazy antics, crazy numbers, crazy values of money, and which is why we can see for certain ones, there's more of a focus on the things that he's doing rather than his face. Now that we finally reached this part of the video, this is when I'm going to talk about which one is better, and we're going to look at 3 elements. Let me just go through what those are. The first one is color. Which YouTuber has better color when it comes to their color usage? And this is very important because once again, the goal of this is for everybody from all walks of life on YouTube to be able to learn from this. color makes a huge difference. So we're gonna see who uses color better when it comes to color, contrast, saturation, and kind of balance overall. So for our first factor, when it comes to color, I'm gonna have to give this point to Mr. Beast because like we've mentioned before, Mr. Beast uses a lot of color which gravitates a lot of viewers to want to watch it. It attracts a lot of new people, and compared to PewDiePie, because of the fact that he's more grounded the way that he does use some color, but we can see, for example, for a lot of these ones here, we only see color from maybe like half of them, whereas here we see that there's just crazy amount of color based off of the content that he does. Now, the second category that we're going to grade this on is the idea of elements. Now, when I talk to people about elements, we're talking about for thumbnails, because of how much variety of genres there are on YouTube, it's hard for there to be like a finite rules when it comes to YouTube. So the easiest way to look at it is elements, which is how many elements are there in the thumbnail and whether or not those elements are used correctly. So for example, overall, when it comes to making thumbnails, I always suggest having 2 to 3 elements. You do not want to have too many elements in the thumbnail. If we're talking about text, we don't want to have too much text in the thumbnail. Maybe 2 to 3 words, 4 maximum. When it comes to other aspects like having emojis or having like an arrow even, like Mr. Beast here, we also want to make sure that there is only 1 to 2 elements in total. When it comes to the way that the elements are used for this video, for these thumbnails, I'm also gonna have to give this one to Mr. Beast, just because of the fact that we can see both YouTubers use text, some of them use arrows as well, but when you look at the way that these thumbnails are, and you look at kind of how the words are being used, and arrows, etc., we can see that because of the color palette from before, combined with the element usage for both of them, Mr. Beast comes out on top. All of his thumbnails have only 2 to 3 elements. Him, pizza, the text, him, circle, the floor, whatever the case is, 6-year-old me, Boy Scouts. I gave my credit card to random people. We have this cute girl here, and we also have this credit card, and that's what we have. Or Lamborghini waist, we have him in the thumbnail, his face there, and we also have the Lamborghinis in the back in high contrast. The final factor that we have that we're going to use to determine who is the winner is how accurately these thumbnails portray the content in the video. Accuracy is very important. We all know what clickbaiting is, which is putting something on the thumbnail, but then it's not actually what it is in the video. You really want to make sure that the thumbnails accurately portray what is going on in the video, so you maximize retention and you'll be able to boost in the YouTube algorithm. You might be surprised, but this final factor, I'm gonna have to give it to PewDiePie when it comes to having an accurate portrayal of what is going on in the thumbnail. So the reason why I have to give this to PewDiePie is because if we look at Mr. Beast's thumbnails and even just his content in general, I can sum it up with one word: exaggeration. His content is so exaggerated, so crazy, so out there that for his thumbnails as well, we can see that there are some exaggerations that are being used. So if we look at some of the thumbnails here, like I built the world's largest Lego tower, maybe videos I could not upload. These are all examples of where he uses an exaggerated final thumbnail in order to really captivate you, really want you to click on it. Because when you click on it, you can see, yeah, there is some aspects of it which is there, but at the same time, there is some element of clickbait. And when we look at accuracy when it comes to portraying your content, we want to make sure that it is the most accurate. And if we look at that one in comparison to PewDiePie and his thumbnails are almost always what the video is going to be about. It's going to be him. For example, this one, he talks about a video talking about blind dating 10 guys. And you can see it's him, and then it's the girl in the video, and it's also the guys. For example, this TLC video as well, he talks about the documentary talking about women and how he wants $1 million, she wants $1 million. And it's the same thing where you can see these are the people that are in the thumbnail and these are the people that are in the video. So accuracy when it comes to thumbnails, PewDiePie wins out on that one. The final winner for this episode of Thumbnail Wars is Mr. Beast due to his good color usage and the way that he manipulates different elements in the thumbnail to make sure that it is captivating and it convinces people to want to click on his video. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot when it comes to thumbnail strategy, despite the fact that they might not be in the same genre as you, because of the fact that they're just titans on YouTube and they encapsulate such a big part. Their thumbnail strategy is something that you cannot miss. Let me know if you have some YouTubers that you want me to look at and you want me to compare when it comes to how their thumbnails are, and maybe they will appear in the next episode of Thumbnail Wars. For the 2 or 3 people who are still sticking around until the end of this video here, firstly, thank you, of course. And secondly, if you want to work with me, I have a link in the description down below where you can sign up for a consultation to really get started on your YouTube journey. You can see my channel, it's all about YouTube. I'm gonna link in the end screen as well in terms of other YouTube videos where I talk about strategy when it comes to growing your brand, growing your numbers on this platform, and really achieving your goals, basically. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.